At 2:47 a.m. when the masked men's leader kicked down the doors and screamed everyone on the ground, the 73 defenseless residents of the nursing home cried out in terror. Wheelchairs toppled over, oxygen machines were ripped from their stations, and the chest of our heart-patient grandfather tightened. But the most heartbreaking moment was when 67-year-old Grandma Rose, an Alzheimer's patient who had forgotten her own daughter but always remembered Nurse Sarah, clung to Sarah with trembling hands and whispered like a child, "Sarah, honey, will you protect us? I'm so scared." Those words detonated memories that had been buried in Sarah Williams' heart for 15 years. Because those same words had been spoken by a wounded young soldier in Afghanistan 18 years ago. Back then, there was the same helplessness, the same trust, the same hope in his eyes. And Sarah had risked her life to save that boy. Now she faced 73 Grandma Roses. 73 defenseless hearts. 73 family members she needed to protect. Golden Years Care Center in Colorado Springs had always been a peaceful place during the night hours. 42-year-old nurse Sarah Williams had been working the night shift here for the past 8 years, forming intimate bonds with the elderly residents. To them, she wasn't just a nurse, she was a real family member. That night, too, she had started her shift at midnight as usual, checked the residents' medications, attended to those who were uncomfortable, and chatted with those who couldn't sleep. Sarah's face always wore a gentle smile, her eyes filled with compassion. She had displayed this calm, loving personality for 15 years. No one questioned her past, no one suspected that behind that soft voice lay a completely different story. Tonight, too, she had made her final rounds of the patients, ensuring everyone was comfortable. Grandma Rose, as always, couldn't sleep. "Sarah, honey," the elderly woman had said, "are you always here? You'll never leave, will you?" Sarah had held Grandma Rose's hand and said, "I'm not going anywhere, Grandma. I'm always here." Grandma Rose had smiled and fallen asleep. Sarah had gone to the nurse's station to work on paperwork. At 2:30 a.m., sounds from the front door caught her attention. She wondered where security guard Bob was. Normally, the doorbell would ring during regular hours, but this time different sounds were coming. As she walked toward the door, her heart began pounding with anxiety. A tension she hadn't felt in long years. Just then, the main door burst open with a loud crash. 6 masked men entered. They carried automatic weapons. "Nobody move." Their leader shouted. The 73 people in the nursing home panicked. Screams rose in the corridors. Wheelchair-bound Harold fell from fear. Oxygen-dependent Martha clung to her machine and started crying. Sarah, after the initial shock, reflexively took a protective position for the elderly. "Stay calm," she called out to the residents. "Everyone stay calm." The leader of the attackers walked toward Sarah. "Are you in charge here?" "Yes, I'm the night shift supervisor." "These elderly people are sick, don't hurt them." "Hurt?" The man laughed. "We just want some money. These rich old folks' families will pay." Sarah understood. This wasn't just a robbery, it was a ransom operation. "Take what you want but don't touch the residents." "Are you giving me orders?" At that moment, Grandma Rose tried to get up from her bed. The Alzheimer's patient, unable to fully understand what was happening, moved toward Sarah. "Sarah, honey, who are these men? They're making too much noise." The leader's assistant shoved the elderly woman. "Sit down, Grandma." Grandma Rose fell. That was the moment when Sarah Williams' identity, suppressed for 15 years, began to awaken. Sarah ran to Grandma Rose and helped her up. The elderly woman clung to her with trembling hands. "Sarah, honey, will you protect us? I'm so scared." Those words detonated memories from 18 years ago in Sarah's brain. The same words, the same helplessness, the same trust. "Of course I'll protect you, Grandma," she whispered. Don't worry. But the leader's patience was wearing thin. Enough with this emotional crap. Get everyone into the main hall. The 6 attackers began herding the 73 elderly residents into the main hall. Even those who couldn't leave their beds were forced out. Those in wheelchairs, those on oxygen, those who couldn't walk. Sarah was checking each resident's condition. Her heart was pounding like it had 18 years ago. But this time she wasn't afraid. She was analyzing. 6 armed men. Leader, approximately 6 feet 1 inch, strong build, experienced movements. Others. Younger, probably amateur. Weapons, automatic, fully loaded magazines. Positions, 2 at doors, 1 at windows, 3 inside the hall. Her old reflexes were coming back. Now listen to me. The leader shouted. These old folks' families are rich. We're demanding $100,000 ransom for each one. 73 elderly residents x $100,000 equals $7.3 million. Who are you? Sarah asked bravely. You're too curious, nurse. The man laughed. I'm Jake. These are my buddies. We're professionals. Professional. Sarah analyzed them. Their movement patterns, weapon handling, positioning. No, these weren't professionals. Maybe gang members, but they hadn't received military training. Where will the families find the money? That's not our problem. They'll find it. Otherwise. The man pointed his weapon at the elderly residents. At that moment, 67-year-old Grandma Rose, even in the confusion of her Alzheimer's disease, showed her trust in Sarah. She clung to her with trembling hands. Sarah, honey, you'll protect us, won't you? You're so strong. Those words shattered the last wall of the identity Sarah had hidden for 15 years. Sarah gently seated Grandma Rose in a chair. She stroked the elderly woman's hair. Don't worry, Grandma. I'm here. But the expression in her eyes had changed. The cold, analytical gaze unseen for 15 years had returned. Jake didn't notice Sarah's transformation. He continued intimidating the other residents. We're making the first ransom call. Who has the richest family? The elderly residents looked at each other in fear. Sarah intervened. You don't need to frighten them like this. Whatever you want, discuss it with me. You're a very brave nurse. Jake smiled. But we can break that courage with a little demonstration. The man approached 84-year-old heart patient Harold. The elderly man sat helplessly in his wheelchair. This old man is a rich retired colonel. His family will pay. He placed his gun to Harold's temple. No. Sarah screamed. Then you'll help us. At that moment, the voice of her commander from 18 years ago echoed in Sarah's mind. Staff Sergeant Sarah, White Angel, Williams, take position. Target, civilian protection. Authorization level, unlimited. Sarah slowly stepped toward the attackers. Listen to me. These elderly people are sick. Stress could kill them. If you want ransom, you need to keep them healthy. Well, of course, doctor. Jake mocked. Are you going to give us medical lessons? No, Sarah's voice had changed. The gentle nurse tone was gone. I'm going to give you survival lessons. This time Jake hesitated. He had noticed the change in Sarah's voice. What do you mean? I mean this, to protect these elderly people, I'll stop you if necessary. The attackers looked at each other and laughed. You're going to stop us. Sarah smiled. But this smile was the kind no one had seen for 15 years. Cold, calculating, dangerous. Don't underestimate me. Jake and his men didn't take Sarah's transformation seriously. To them, she was still just a brave nurse. But the elderly residents had noticed. Something had changed in Sarah, who had been with them every night for 8 years. Her posture, her gaze, her tone of voice. 75-year-old retired teacher Nancy whispered, "This isn't our Sarah." Sarah positioned the elderly residents behind her. She placed herself between them and the attackers. "I'm warning you for the last time. If you harm these elderly people, I'll have to do something about it." "Ha ha ha." One of Jake's men laughed. "This woman is seriously threatening us. Maybe we need to teach her a lesson." Another one pointed his gun at Sarah. But at that moment, the nursing home lights went out. Power outage. In the darkness, only the light from the street lamps outside was visible. "What's happening?" Jake shouted. "Why did the power go out?" His men panicked. They couldn't see each other in the darkness. But Sarah remembered her training from 18 years ago. Night operations, nighttime missions, moving unseen. "Stay calm," she told Jake. "It's just a power outage." But for Sarah, this was a perfect opportunity. Because 18 years ago, Staff Sergeant Sarah White Angel Williams didn't just save lives on the battlefield. When necessary, she could neutralize enemies too. And now, 15 years later, it was time for those skills to return. In the darkness, once Sarah's eyes adjusted, she could pinpoint the attackers' positions exactly. 6 people, scattered formation, not adjusted to the darkness. She made the first move. She approached the nearest attacker from behind. With her 18-year-old training, she silently took the man's weapon and knocked him unconscious. "Tommy? Where are you?" Jake shouted in the darkness. Sarah made no sound. She moved to the second target. This man was by the window. Sarah used nursing supplies, passing an 4 tube around the man and neutralizing him too. "Mike. Where is this guy?" 2 attackers were down. 4 remained. The elderly residents couldn't understand what was happening in the darkness. But Grandma Rose whispered, "Is Sarah there?" "Yes, Grandma," Sarah answered from the darkness. "Don't be afraid. Everything will be all right." Jake was panicking now. "How is this happening? Where are my men?" Sarah approached the third attacker. This man seemed like a rookie waiting by the door. Sarah used the stethoscope cable from her nurse uniform to silently knock him unconscious. Now only 3 attackers remained, Jake and 2 assistants. "Hello Jake," Sarah's voice came from the darkness. "You. What did you do to my men?" "They're just sleeping. You can sleep the same way if you want." "Who are you, woman?" At that moment, Sarah revealed her true identity for the first time in 15 years. "I'm Staff Sergeant Sarah White Angel Williams. Special Forces Medic Specialist for 18 years. I saved 347 lives on battlefields. But when necessary, I do what's necessary." Jake was shocked. In the darkness, he no longer saw just a nurse. From her voice, movements, and changed energy, he understood this woman was different. Are you a soldier?" "I'm a retired soldier. But skills aren't forgotten." Sarah began planning against the last 3 attackers. They were also now panicking, randomly pointing their weapons. "Watch out!" Jake shouted. "This woman is dangerous." Sarah called out to the elderly to get them to safety. "Everyone lean against the walls. Lie on the floor." The elderly residents recognized the authority in Sarah's voice. This was a command voice they hadn't heard in 18 years. "Sarah, what's happening?" asked Nancy. "Just doing a little cleaning, Aunt Nancy." Jake and his men were now truly frightened. In the darkness, they faced an invisible enemy. Sarah approached the 4th attacker. This time she needed to be more careful because the remaining ones were alert and armed. She used a pot from the nursing home kitchen to create a distraction. The sound came from the kitchen. "Over there." One of Jake's men ran in that direction. Sarah took advantage of the opportunity, approached from behind, and neutralized the fourth attacker. Only Jake and one man remained. Damn! How is this happening? Jake was going crazy now. Jake, Sarah's voice was cold and calm. Now you have a choice. Either drop your weapon and surrender, or what? Or meet the Sarah from 18 years ago. She was much more dangerous. Jake tried his last resort. He took 89-year-old Harold hostage. Stop right there. I'll shoot this old man. Sarah's heart tightened. Harold was one of her favorite residents. Former colonel, war veteran, gentle soul. Let Harold go, Jake. Your problem is with me. No. Now you're getting me out of here. At that moment, Harold spoke slowly, Sarah, honey, don't worry. I'm an old soldier. I'm not afraid. Those words reminded Sarah of her courage from 18 years ago. Okay, Jake. I'll get you out. Sarah slowly approached Jake. But she was actually strategizing. She reviewed the hostage rescue techniques she remembered from her 18-year-old training. Distance, angle, timing. Come closer. Jake shouted. Sarah approached. When she reached exactly the right distance. With a swift movement, she grabbed Jake's weapon, twisted it, and rescued Harold. At the same time, the last attacker also tried to attack Sarah. But 18 years of battlefield experience hadn't made her forget 15 years of civilian life. Sarah neutralized both attackers simultaneously. All 6 attackers had been neutralized. The 73 people in the nursing home were safe. When the lights came back on, the elderly residents were surprised to see Sarah. This was no longer the gentle nurse they knew. Her posture, gaze, and way of moving had completely changed. Sarah, said Grandma Rose, you're different. Sarah smiled. This time it was a real, warm smile. I'm still the same Sarah, Grandma. Just, my old skills came back. When the police arrived, they examined the scene. 3 of the 6 attackers were found unconscious, and 3 were neutralized. How is this possible? Asked the police captain. How did a single nurse neutralize 6 armed attackers? Sarah had to reveal her old identity. I'm a former Special Forces medic specialist. I served on battlefields for 18 years. The captain was amazed. Why didn't you say so? Because that life was left behind. I'm now just a nurse who loves and cares for the elderly. The elderly residents gathered around Sarah. You protected us, dear, said Harold. You became a real hero. No, Colonel. I just protected my family. You are my family. Grandma Rose hugged her. We love you so much, Sarah. You're our angel. I love you too. The next day, the events at the nursing home made headlines in newspapers. Nurse protects 73 elderly against 6 attackers was the headline. But Sarah didn't want to talk to the media. She just wanted to continue her work. The nursing home director spoke with Sarah, Ms. Williams, after this incident, there might be security risks for you. Maybe you'd like to transfer to another location. No, Sarah said decisively. This is my home. These elderly people are my family. I won't abandon them. That night, when she started her night shift, the elderly residents greeted her with applause. Our hero has arrived, said Nancy. I'm not a hero, Sarah smiled. I'm just someone who loves you. Grandma Rose approached her. Despite her Alzheimer's disease, she remembered that night. Sarah, honey, you protected us. But now you're tired too. We'll protect you. Those words deeply moved Sarah. Thank you, Grandma. From that night on, Sarah's relationship with the elderly became even stronger. They were no longer just patient nurse, but a real family. A month later, everything had returned to normal at the nursing home. Sarah was again the gentle, compassionate nurse. But the elderly residents knew she was different. And this made them feel safer. One night, Harold asked Sarah, "Dear, do you ever regret it? Leaving military life?" Sarah thought. "No, Colonel. Because that life brought me here. To you. But you gave up so much. Your career, fame, money. But I gained much more valuable things. Your love, your trust. This can't be exchanged for anything." Harold smiled. "You're really special, dear." That night, Grandma Rose also approached Sarah. "Sarah, honey, I want to ask something." "Ask, Grandma." Are you really an angel?" Sarah laughed. "Why do you think so?" "Because you're always there for us in difficult times. You protect us. You love us. Are angels real, Grandma?" "Of course. You're our angel." Sarah held the elderly woman's hand. "Then I'll continue being an angel for you." 6 months later, a ceremony was held at the nursing home in Sarah's honor. Families, administrators, police, everyone came. But what mattered most to Sarah was that her elderly residents were happy. "Ms. Williams," said the deputy governor at the ceremony. "We want to give you a state medal." "Thank you, but it's not necessary. My reward is the smiles of my elderly residents here." After the ceremony, Sarah was alone with the elderly. "Dear," said Harold, "you're famous now. You appear on television. But I'm still your Sarah." "Of course. You're always our angel." That night, while on duty, Sarah thought about the past. 18 years ago, she was saving lives on battlefields. Now she was doing the same thing at the nursing home. The profession had changed, but the purpose was the same, saving lives. Grandma Rose couldn't sleep again. Sarah went to her. "Will you sing a song?" the elderly woman asked. Sarah sang her a lullaby that reminded her of that night. Grandma Rose slept peacefully. Sarah looked out the window. The lights of Colorado Springs were twinkling. But her heart was here, with these elderly people. 1 year later, Sarah was still working at the same nursing home, caring for her elderly residents with the same love. Media interest had decreased, life had returned to normal. But nothing had changed for Sarah. She always did her job with the same love. One day, a young nursing intern came. "Sarah," the girl said, "your story is very famous. I want to be like you too." "How do you want to be?" "Strong, brave, protective." Sarah smiled. "Then learn to love a lot. Because real power comes from love." "But you had military training." "I can't get that. Military training isn't important. What's important is serving with love. You can do that too." That night, as Sarah made her final rounds, all the elderly were sleeping peacefully. Grandma Rose was smiling in her sleep. Harold was breathing calmly. Nancy had fallen asleep while reading her book. Sarah returned to the nurse's station. In the depths of the drawer, her old soldier photograph remained. Young, stern-looking, uniformed Sarah. Now she looked in the mirror. 42 years old, tired but happy, with love-filled eyes. "Hello, old me," she whispered to the photograph. "Now you have a better life." She put the photograph back in the drawer. Because the past should stay in the past. What mattered was now. And now, there was a place where 73 elderly people slept safely. Under Sarah's protection. The phone rang. They were calling from another nursing home. "Ms. Williams, we have a problem too. Can you help us?" Sarah smiled. "Of course. I'll come in the morning." Because White Angel might have retired, but Nurse Sarah's work would never end. That night, as she made her final check, Grandma Rose opened her eyes. "Sarah, honey." "Yes, Grandma." "Will you always be here?" "I'm always here, Grandma." "Don't worry." "Good. Because you're our angel." Sarah held the elderly woman's hand. "And you're my family." Grandma Rose smiled and went back to sleep. Walking down the corridor, Sarah thought. 18 years ago, she was saving lives on the battlefield. Fighting for survival under impossible conditions. Now she was saving lives too. But this time, with love, compassion, patience. Which path was harder? Which battle was more valuable? She knew the answer. Both paths were valuable. Both were aimed at saving lives. But now she was happier. Because the lives she saved loved her back. In the silence of the nursing home, Sarah completed her final round. Everyone was safe. Everyone was at peace. She was at peace too. Because real peace lay in being able to protect those you love. And Sarah experienced this peace every night. She stood at the window, looking at the lights of Colorado Springs. While the city slept, she kept watch. Just like she had done 18 years ago. But this time, with love.